I want to do a quick shout out to my viewers of my Kadena videos. My most watched video over the last 28 days was Kadena. In a bear market, it's not common for altcoins to get more attention than general Bitcoin price action. And I wanted to say a quick thank you for that. It might also help that, over the last, 3 months, Kadena has moved exactly like where I point my cursor and make a black triangle, it goes to the black triangle and makes the triangle. That helps, but I also thank you for coming back to my channel and considering me, one of your primary sources for understanding Kadena price. So let's dive in. I think I mentioned earlier, once it goes back below a certain point, it's going to accelerate to the downside, right? So it finally broke down out of my long anticipated triangle that I drew before it ever came down here. Got resolution to the downside. Let's get rid of this guy for a second. We don't need that quite yet. Now looking at origin line rules that we've been covering a lot on my channel here recently. What can we tell from this? The yellow lines are your origin lines. What conclusions can we draw, or what parameters could we set? Like anything within here is by far the most likely, but even within that, this is way more likely to happen. Just loose rules. What can we say? Origin line, way below. What's about ready to happen and what has to happen. So in general terms, what has to happen is, so these are the wide parameters. Everything within Kadena analysis falls within this, and you are tightening the wrench on your predictability. But just to set the outside, like the outside of a puzzle first, Kadena does not have permission to do anything more than a failure pattern above this line until this line is hit. That is our outside parameters, period. Over the next, and it could be 90 to 100 days. It could take 3 months that this is happening. So these are the outside parameters, and the time frame in which that would happen, again, I still think that it could be 3 weeks or it could be 100 days, but somewhere, over the next 1 to 3 months, that's the shelf life of these parameters. I would expect a decent probability that these outside parameters are no longer the outside parameters after 90 days. Make sense? Okay. To boil this down farther, what would a failure pattern, so the best that can happen, the absolute best, the most bullish thing before this line is touched is a failure pattern above. Do we already have a target for a possible failure pattern? Not a guaranteed failure pattern. Do we have a target? Hell yeah, this blue line. That's completely allowed. So if you see Kadena getting back above or into this triangle, or even to the top of the damn thing, I wouldn't get excited. It's not allowed to go higher. Could it hit this one? Okay, whatever. Give me a break if it goes 3 cents higher. But I don't want you to have copied my origin lines and say, yes, it's back above. Well, it has a good chance of doing that, actually. It's allowed to. But it's not allowed to go much higher than that. Make sense? So I don't want my origin lines to trick you because we're not understanding the rules that this must be hit before anything better than a failure pattern can happen. Another potentially even more likely thing is, I would say it's more probable it comes back up if it does some type of rally. I don't think it has better than a 50% chance of getting above the bottom of the triangle. So coming up only to here is much more likely than coming up to 137. Make sense? What also could become the obstacle for upward price movement is a horizontal that I just took off of here. So I will do it let me zoom into price. So sellers will also step in at horizontals, and sometimes on altcoins that aren't really, ambitiously traded like this one for now. That could change in the bull market, obviously, but right now in the bear market, it's pretty lackluster stuff. Sometimes just a little bit of sell force or a moderate amount of sell force from horizontal sellers could turn it down. I would pick from that wick to this wick and make a box. So these are the 3 most likely areas that Kadena price will go before touching this line. Period. Let me label them. So do you see now why I started with origin line rules and then established the outside parameters, or did the outside of the corners and the sides of the puzzles first? Then I'm working my way in, right? So now I know, like, essentially I can see before me all the possibilities that are within reason. Could something unreasonable happen? Yeah. Like, you know, some, let's say, Canadian buyer says, Kadena's the best shit ever. We're buying $100 million of. Okay, that, you know, it could break some rules. But within reason, these are all the things that are most likely to happen before the origin line is hit. And this is all you need. This should get you through at least 2 months of price action. Once it starts taking out these lows, is it possible to play bounces here and therefore we need more things on my chart? Sure. But since we're not quite there yet, I'm not going to add all that confusion. Just know that it'll eventually get here. And for now, until that happens, it is more likely that one of these points, so this box, or in my favorite, I'm not for sure if this is my favorite guess. One of these two, the box or this is my favorite guess. Both are equally likely. And this is my third guess, the blue box. Is it also possible it turns back around from here and just dumps down to here without touching it? Okay, I guess that could happen as well. But what I'm trying to do is here, I'm trying to protect people, you know, who might want to be bullish or something. Yeah, you got back into this or something. No, it's going to come down here. And that's what we got. This should keep you safe literally for, 3 months or so. Hopefully it's helpful, and feel free to draw it exactly as I have, copy it, and keep it on your chart.